I want to thank everyone for being here this afternoon and joining our July Lunch and Learn series, part of our monthly Lunch and Learn series connected with EBHO's 40th anniversary. For those who may not know me, I'm Reverend Sophia DeWitt, Chief Program Officer at EBHO, and I'm going to be moderating the session today. And this is an opportunity for folks to get to know a little bit about EBHO's board, both some of the individuals who currently serve on the board and what has motivated them both to be EBHO members and involved with our work, but then also what has made them want to be part of EBHO's board and take leadership for the organization in that way. And then also to learn a little bit about what the board does, what the board's functions are, and how you too could apply to be a member of EBHO's board if that is of interest to you. So as we get started, I just want to thank the members of our board who are here joining us this afternoon, and I'm going to give them a second to introduce themselves in just another minute. But we have Vanna Whitney from Letty Matum Stacy Architects, Angela Upshaw from Insight Housing, Laleen Mitchell from BBI Construction, Felix Ouyang from Mid-Penn Housing, as folks that are going to be responding to some of your questions, sharing some of their experience on our board. I know we have some other board members who have joined us for this session. So thank you for doing that. I see you. I want to go ahead and get started and invite our board members who are going to be participating with us this afternoon to just introduce yourselves and say a little bit about what your day job is, what experience you bring to EBHO's board. Yeah, let's start there. And I'll start just with the way I see folks on my screen. Oh, and I'm sorry, I missed Abra. And I never want to do that. Abra Levine from Unity Council is also here and will be answering some questions for us. Thank you so much, Abra, as well for participating. For some reason, I didn't see you earlier, but always glad to have you with us. And I'm just, as I said, I'm going to just start with how I see folks on my screen. And that means I'm going to start with Vanna. Vanna, would you mind introducing yourself, telling us about your day job, and you know, consequently, what skills and experience you bring to EBHO's board?
Sure. Thanks, Sophia. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. I'm Vanna Whitney, principal at Letty Matum Stacy Architects. I've been working here for 20 years, and I've got 30 years of architectural practice, mostly in affordable housing, and have a year of legislative work on domestic food insecurity.
Thanks, Vanna. Next, I'm going to go to Angela Upshaw from Insight Housing. Hi, Angela.
Hi, Sophia, and hi, everyone. Thanks for having me today. As you mentioned, I'm Angela Upshaw. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Insight Housing. I've been there for 10 years now. We used to be named Berkeley Food and Housing Project. For those who are not familiar with the new name, we did change our name last May. Because we have expanded our services outside of Berkeley. So for over 50 years, we've been providing a comprehensive range of housing, food, and support services to help those in need move from homelessness into a safe and affordable home. As I mentioned, we have expanded outside of Berkeley. We now serve 7 different counties, including Alameda, Contra Costa, Solano, Sacramento, San Joaquin, San Francisco, and Amador County. I think I got all 7. And so we're really proud of our team members who are dedicated to our mission to ensure that everyone in our community has a home through supportive, equitable, and sustainable housing solutions. We also, Inside Housing is also an emerging affordable housing developer. So we focus on permanent supportive housing. And our first development is the Hope Center, and that's located in downtown Berkeley, if anyone's familiar with that. I know there are some very familiar folks on the call for that. And so it includes 53 permanent supportive housing units, 32-bed men's shelter, 12 beds for veteran interim housing, and a commercial kitchen that provides meals to our programs and serves a daily community meal to those in need. And we also have on-site services that include healthcare through a robust partnership with Lifelong Medical Care. And just this past year, fiscal year 23-24, we served over 8,500 individuals and served over 100,000 meals. So we're really excited and proud for that. And so at Inside Housing, we envision a world where everyone is food and housing secure and has a caring community to call home. So that's us in a nutshell. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, I'm going to go to Laleen Mitchell with BBI Construction.
Thank you, Sophia, and hello, everybody. Really honored and pleased to be here today to talk to you a little bit about the EBHO Board. I'm Laleen Mitchell. I'm the Director of Pre-Construction for BBI Construction. We do a lot of affordable housing. The majority of our clients are with affordable housers, and I'm very familiar with some of the challenges that they face finding not only funding, but also the parameters towards building. And so we work to try to collaborate on ways to increase the stock and then also rehabilitate older, more, I don't know, less user-friendly buildings, let's call it that. And again, work closely with the housing, nonprofit housing associations around us. And so we look to hopefully find a model or a way to improve the situation. I'm an Oakland resident, and I hate driving down the street seeing my unhoused neighbors out there. So if there's any way that I can assist in that, that's why I'm here. That's what I wanted to work with EBHO on, is to create a better trajectory for housing in our communities, our local communities. So I hope that I bring some construction expertise to the board, and then also just love collaborating with some of the people that are on the board, all of the people on the board, and thinking about, again, solutions to hopefully ending homelessness and or finding just a better housing solution here in the Bay Area.
Thank you, Laleen, and thanks for your service to the board. And next I'll go to Felix from MidPenn.
Hi, everybody. I'm Felix Ao Young. I'm the Vice President of Business Development at MidPenn Housing. I've been doing affordable housing work for 20 years and have been at MidPenn for 8.5 years, leading the front end of our development department. So that means looking for new project opportunities, finding lands, potential preservation deals, and generally starting the concept and starting the projects for affordable housing. MidPenn Housing is a regional nonprofit developer and property management company. We've been around for 53 years and work in 12 different Bay Area counties. Our portfolio's slowly or rapidly at this point approaching 10,000 homes. And almost 20,000 residents that we serve in those homes. Let's see, I have the overlap with Vanna, and in the 1 year that we spent doing domestic food insecurity issues with an obscure Congressional Hunger Center that's still active, and so that all kind of started my journey in this direction. Also want to recognize Piatok and Colliver on the call, that architects that we're working with on several affordable housing developments with MidPenn. So, we keep putting them out, and the need is it's always there.
Thanks, Felix. And last but certainly not least, I'll turn it over to Abra Levine from with the Unity Council. Hi, Abra.
Hi, thank you. Good to see everyone. My name is Abra Levine. I'm the Vice President of Real Estate Development at the Unity Council. We are a community-based developer, and we build new construction projects, occupied rehabs, so acquiring existing multifamily properties, generally that are fully or partially occupied, and maintaining long-term affordability. And then as a community-based developer, we also have a community benefit kind of bucket of real estate work that we do, which is not residential. So commercial community serving projects that support other program areas in our organization, like schools, facilities. So our real estate reach is quite broad. And as a result, I think I hope I bring some kind of development acumen to the team, but also a little different perspective as a community-based developer, and one that is focused solely within the East Bay, primarily in Oakland. The issues that EBHO is addressing from a policy and advocacy standpoint are very critical to the work that we do as an organization. And so we work in the policy and advocacy space as well. And so there's a lot of overlap, and because we are so community-based, we lend a little bit of a different voice to those questions. So yeah, stop there.
All right, thank you so much, Abra. So you see we have quite an amazing panel of some of EBHO's current board members here to share about their experience working with and being a member of EBHO and serving on EBHO's board. So we look forward to a good conversation this afternoon. In that vein, we do just have a few questions that I will pose to our board members, and then we'll have some time later on in the hour for folks to pose questions from the floor for our board members to answer. So we'll go ahead and get started with some of those questions. I do want to mention just quickly that, of course, the main function of a nonprofit board is to provide general fiscal oversight for a nonprofit and support and encouragement to the staff leadership of the organization, particularly the executive director, which for EBHO at this moment is our executive director, Lindsay Haddix, who I know is also joining us on the call this afternoon. Our EBHO board, just in terms of some general context setting, also has a number of committees. Board members serve on at least one and often more than one committee. Some committees are related to kind of the functioning of the board, like our personnel committee or our finance committee. Some of the committees are related to EBHO's programming. One of the things that makes EBHO's board a little unique, and which we'll talk about some more as we go through the hour, is that as you know, EBHO is a membership organization, and as part of that, new board members for EBHO are elected at our annual membership meeting and celebration each November. And there is an application process for interested members who would like to be considered to be on the board. Every year there's a committee of board members that looks at those applications and helps to decide who are the folks that have applied in that year that meet the skills and experience that we most need on the board at that particular time. We'll talk about that some more further on in the hour. But to get back to some of the questions we know we wanted to ask our board members, can you each say why you were interested, or why you've been an EBHO member for so long, and then in addition to your EBHO membership, what made you interested in joining EBHO's board? And I think that any of the board members on our panel can start with an answer to those questions. Who would like to begin? Oh, everybody's so quiet.
Jump in.
Okay, thanks, Angela.
Yeah, no problem. So I first joined EBHO, I think it was fall of 2019, with the first meeting actually being 2020, early 2020, right before the pandemic. So I think I had one in-person meeting and then everything turned virtual. But I know, Vanna so graciously brought me into the loop of EBHO. So I was really excited and really was excited to join the board. And I think community engagement was one of the things that was on my the mind, wanting to really further deepening my understanding of specific housing challenges and solutions through policy. Also was looking forward to networking with like-minded individuals and community leaders and policymakers and folks who are influencing our policy, and just really looked forward to a huge learning opportunity. Really focused around this advocacy. It's one of our values at Inside Housing, is to get more engaged with advocacy work around the work that we're doing, trying to affect policy, housing policy, and being able to see the grassroots and shifting that power and ownership to the residents. I love seeing like people who are directly affected by this housing policy to be able to have a voice and see how it's done and be able to, affect it. So that's just some of the things that why I'm really interested and still excited about EBHO.
Thanks, Angela. Yeah, and I should mention, among our board panelists, we have some veteran board members here, Vanna and Felix and Angela, and then some newer board members as well, Laline, and then Abra, who's one of our newest board members. Abra, do you want to share what excited you about EBHO membership and also board membership?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm brand new. I think my first board meeting was February of this year. But I have been trying to get on the EBHO board for many years. I was first introduced to EBHO as probably an associate project manager asked to attend committee meetings and at the Oakland committee or Concord committee or our regional policy committee meeting, and saw how well EBHO synthesized the voice of the constituents of the members and put that into action, and was actually kind of a player that the city was, at least within Oakland where I was experiencing it, had some clout. The city does listen to what EBHO says and respects very much the voice of EBHO. And I wanted to be part of the leadership of such it was an important and mindful organization. And so it's exciting to be, I'm still participating in some of those committees, and it's also exciting to be sitting in the board seat as well, and kind of getting to work more closely with staff and understanding more the policies discussions as well. So yeah.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Abra. Laleen, what about you?
Sorry, Vanna, your audio is undone, and so that's why I waited to hear. Thank you. I was like, does she want to talk? Anyway, I joined again. Our firm has been doing a lot of this work for a long time, and one of our founders was on one of the committees where they were discussing different wage rates for workers. And I sat in on a few of the meetings and really was, again, invested and interested in hearing the multiple perspectives, because it wasn't just us at the table, it was all kinds of folks at the table. And so it was very interesting to, as Abra alluded to, think about a wider perspective than just our own in that sense. And so it was good information. It was good to hear from other folks. I love the way that at the time it was Gloria was leading the conversation and really interested in garnering or mining for everybody's top priorities and trying to figure out a way to find consensus and to push us forward on a resolution to be able to present to the city. And so with that, I think it really opened my eyes to how well this organization worked, not just in the community, but with businesses and nonprofits and everyone, and was truly interested in all of those perspectives. So that intrigued me, number one. And then number two, again, it's great to be in a room full of like-minded individuals also, as Angela noted, that you have that common language, you understand the struggles, the travails, the issues that come up. And so being presented with different perspectives and understandings of it is very helpful. And also, again, I would be so psyched if we could come up with a program or a way to just, as I had noted earlier, help our unhoused neighbors and figure out that we have all these brilliant minds in a room. It's like, how come we haven't figured this out yet? So I hope that, and strive towards us figuring this out and finding a way to help those in our communities who need it.
Thank you. Vanna, what about you?
Sure. Since I was pretty young, I've been involved in different aspects of affordable housing, whether it was being on volunteer teams, helping to either repair, construct buildings. I then moved into affordable housing from the architecture side. And, at LMS, we are one of the first mission-driven firms. And everything we do has a mission, and I've really specialized in the affordable housing for us. I've been doing that exclusively for 20 years at LMS. And while my passion runs deep for affordable housing within architecture, a colleague had reached out and had asked me about being on the board. And I got really excited about that idea about, I'd been a member of EBHO, I'd been to EBHO meetings, I'd been to city council, budgetary meetings and all that. And I'd been really impressed with the breadth and width of knowledge and advocacy within EBHO. And when he asked me if I'd be interested in the board, I thought, absolutely, if there's any team I'd want to be collaborating on outside of architecture, this would be it. And the opportunity to get to know such an incredible team and hopefully add value, bringing the design world perspective to the table, was what I wanted to do. And it's been great. You can tell there's incredible people at the table, both on the staff and the board side.
And Felix.
Well, I want to piggyback on what everybody else has said so far and just reflect on EBHO's history. So since my time in the industry, EBHO's had 3 leaders between Amy Fishman, Gloria Bruce, and now Lindsay Haddix. And they're incredible leaders and visionaries within the industry that has shaped a lot of the wins that we see today and the progress that we've made. EBHO's been a part of passing state bond, a Measure A1 for Alameda County, Measure U for Oakland, a number of inclusionary policies and commercial linkage fees. There's so much that's been accomplished over this time. And we know that like our fight against, what I think of when we think, why is affordable housing such a scarcity and why do we have this problem? It's a massive market failure, right? And there's no one addressing that on that other side, right? Because it's not profitable. So it's gonna, and we don't have the kind of financial monetary resources to kind of push, but what we have is kind of people power. And that's where I see EBHO as kind of organizing people, putting people's minds and hearts together, and then moving forward together that way. And that's the way that we can fight back and create create some more equity and for people in the region. And we gotta keep pushing. And it's a hard fight, and it's nice to have other folks who are in it to fight together. So yeah, that's why I really love EBHO and all the work that it does.
Thank you, Felix. Okay, just a couple other questions for our board members, and these next questions, not every person needs to answer, but if you feel moved, please go ahead and jump in. And I'll also just remind you as we get down toward the end of our prepared question time, that if you have other questions for our board panel, feel free. We'd love to hear them. Please go ahead and put them in the chat, and my colleague Lavender will be monitoring those and letting us know what those are when we get to that point in our agenda. Next question. What challenges have you faced in being on the board, or was there anything you weren't expecting since joining the board?
Well, I'll kick us off, and it's probably the obvious for most of us here, because when we joined, we didn't know Gloria would ever be leaving, so didn't know what we'd be getting ourselves into. So just that challenge of an ED search, and several of us, it's our first time. Some were experienced and had done this before, but just navigating that, not knowing really how long it would take, but definitely a challenge. But I don't want to leave it there, because it's also something that I'm really proud of and that I learned from, because the entire experience of just the process and communication with EBHO staff, and just with ourselves, each other in the search committee, and then just really excited for our ability to overcome and get through it and find a great candidate, and who we have now is Lindsay. So definitely a challenge, something that wasn't expected, but also something that I can, feel is an accomplishment and huge learning experience. And I think it brought me and my fellow board members much closer together, us in the search committee, as well as being able to better to build relationships stronger with EBHO staff, and being able to hear them, and being able to make sure that our communication is stronger, and have those difficult conversations, but not shying away from them, but really embracing those conversations, so that we can get to a stronger place where I think we are today. So there's that.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else want to tackle that question?
Yeah, I'd like to jump in just for a second. And I was late on the team and the transition, but I think that that's one of those things where, again, as a board and as an organization, transitions are really difficult. And so observing this from the board seat and trying to, again, want the best for the organization and everyone involved with it, when you had such a dynamic leader, it's just going to be tough. And so watching that, observing it, trying to help facilitate, trying to keep people positive and keep things going in the direction that we all felt was the best. And then again, search for a candidate that would even get closer, hopefully surpass what Gloria has done and what Amy have done over the years, continuing to push the envelope. And so again, wrapping your arms around that consensus with not only staff, but board members, all the organizations, it was a big challenge. It was a heavy lift. And I think everybody that was on that search committee and on the board was affected by it. And so I'm happy that we've come through it, and we continue to have conversations. We can all improve and do things maybe a little differently next time. But I think we ended up in a really good space, and like Felix has said, I'm really proud of the leadership that we have and the staff that we have. So I think it worked out, but it was a challenge, and I wasn't expecting that. I was hoping to work with Gloria. Darn it, where is she? But it's been good, and I'm proud to be here, so I'm happy.
Great, thank you. Felix, Vanna, Abra, or we can also move on to the next question. All right, I'm taking that response as maybe we should move on. So let's go ahead and move on. Our next question is about something that you've learned in your time on the board that you want to share about. And Vanna, I know you had something in particular you wanted to share.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to share. I would say it's a huge learning experience being on the board, a really, really excellent one. I knew being an EBHO member that there was a great breadth and depth, but I don't think I knew the extent of it. And being on the board and having nearly monthly board meetings and getting involved in different efforts, the depth of relationships in our communities, like with city leaders and nonprofits and affordable housing residents, which are really powerful, developers, architects, and others. It's just such a broad community. And, it's amazing that is so strong, because the staff is tiny but mighty. I think that's our favorite little phrase about staff. And it bears out in watching the inner workings of EBHO from the board side. It's very impressive. And that kind of leads to the next thing that I've really learned is that, I think at first I thought EBHO was like everybody, we're a choir, we're all singing the same song. And while we're all headed in the same direction. We all deeply care about solving the housing crisis and having housing for all. We're a very big tent, and we come at it with very different perspectives. And so I think it's a wonderful thing that we have such a big tent and that we have these different voices that come together, and it makes us stronger together, of course. And just watching EBHO be sometimes in the driver's seat, leading advocacy and legislation, sometimes being a mediator and negotiator, trying to bring different perspectives together in committees. I've listened to Sophia do that a number of times in committees. And then sometimes actually being a supporter of somebody else's effort that, let them take the lift. We've got our other lifts, and really using our resources wisely, I think is something that really impressed me, and something I wouldn't have known much about had I not been on the board. And I think the other thing about being on the board is, and it's been referred to here by some of my colleagues, but just the depth of relationships built on the board, and just the incredible people. And I guess we're a self-selecting group, like we're gonna have a lot in common anyway, but I think the relationships are one of the most valuable things that I've come away with. And then I'll just end on sort of one little in the weeds thing, which is I think I've always known that communication is so important. And I think being a board member, it's been even more clear to me how important constant, clear communication is, and that we're always going to have room to grow in that regard. And so I've enjoyed watching the really excellent communicators on our team. And it's just so much to glean from the organization, from staff, and from board. Okay. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you so much, Vanna. Any other learnings that someone wants to share?
Yeah, I'll add, in reflecting on what Vanna said and the issue that I think Angela and Laureen brought up. I think we know collective action is challenging, right? And many decisions we do make in consensus, and that's easy and that's nice. That's what, like when things go well, right? It's the times when there are disagreements, right? In dissents where we gotta figure it out as a group. That is the challenge, but that's also the most essential part. I feel like we're in a time in society right now where that difference in opinion fragments people and they can't ever come back together. And then within those fragments, there are different opinions, and then we fracture even more, and we're in little pieces, in little silos. And this movement has to be bigger than that. And so seeing people work together who have different opinions, who have different ideas on how to approach things, and putting it out in the air, and then having people kind of come around and kind of coalesce around different approaches, or having multiple approaches, and then coming to a decision together, even if it's not a consensus decision. That whole process is something that we just all need as humans. And it's great to see it in a space where we're supported, where we're where we have agreement in what we're trying to achieve, and then within that space, kind of work through those challenges that are inherent to our being, social beings, right? And I'm kind of leading into the next one, but what I'm really proud of is, EBHO being the organization that does that in the outside in the world, right? Because I think we have YIMBYs, we have we have people who want family housing, or people who want 100% PSH. There's a lot of need out there, and not everybody is has the same vision of where something can go, and to be able to bring all of those groups together, that at least have the agreement that housing is a human right, starting there, and then trying to find solutions together. So I think that's a super important thing for us to have, as we, as people who want to try and, change the world to a better place.
Thanks, Felix. And you did sort of lead us into our last prepared question, which is, what's something that you're really proud of from your time on the board? And I wonder if any of our other current board members on the panel would like to share something about that.
I can take a stab at it. I kind of want to blend the learning and the proud. I think they go together well, but I think before I joined the board, I had a sense of kind of what EBHO, that they had a lot of committees, there's a lot going on, but I don't think I quite understood how much EBHO is accomplishing. And most of it in committee, and kind of working with this like potentially very broad group of stakeholders. And so I just, I feel really proud of EBHO's staff. They are holding an enormous amount of work together in a really thoughtful, respectful, professional way, and are like, just so passionate about the work that they do. So I think I want to just say thank you as both a member and a board member, because it's really quite remarkable.
Thank you. Any last comments in this section, or should we go to open questions?
If you don't mind, I want to throw out, and again, I have really enjoyed getting to know Lindsay and working with her. And then too, there's a lot of reading nerds here on the call. I happen to be one, and I really had a good time last year, hopefully putting together or helping to curate the library for the EBHO staff. And it was also, again, a topic that all of us are passionate about. So we have been trying to collect books to educate all of us in terms of different areas of housing and how to expand our knowledge and make it better. So, again, sometimes it's the little things, but I hope that has been something that was enjoyed, because even as the board members were all suggesting books, we just compiled the list and sent it out to all of us. And so it really just became really a collaborative effort, and that we all enjoyed. And so it's something simple, but I'm pretty proud of that.
And I'm
Thank you. Thank,
proud
yes,
of
go ahead,
the
Felix.
strategic plan that we have right now, that as a step in progress, right? So it was a big step from the previous one, and I'm sure the next one will be incorporating even more learning and what's contemporary. But the current strategic plan that we have right now is ambitious, and it's all encompassing, and I think it tries to capture kind of the best thinking that's in the industry right now, and why we are doing this work. So if you have a chance, definitely take a look at that, and then we'll build on it for the next one.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your answers to those questions. And we will move into a time of sort of open question and answer now for a few minutes. And as we do that, I just want to appreciate that Donna Griggs-Murphy, who is another one of our current board members, has joined us here in the Zoom room. So Donna, if you want to answer any of the open questions in a minute or two, I would say we'd love to have your input. And I also just want to appreciate a couple of our Heritage Board members who have joined us. Mike Payatak, who was one of our original board members, I believe, and also Jeff Levin, who served on our board in a previous life and now serves on EBHO staff. And those of us who are currently on staff get the joy of working with Jeff every day. So with that, I want to open it up to some questions. I know Jeff has a question, which maybe we'll get to in a second. Lavender, it's hard for me to see the chat. Do we have any questions from anyone that anyone's put in the chat?
Yes, Stephanie asked if you're looking to add new board members or other board members leaving. Is there a specific business area that you think you could use some additional experience?
Great question. And yes, I'm not a board member. I'll let the board members answer more robustly in just a second. We are losing a few board members at the end of this year, so we will be looking to replace some particular skills and experience. But for our board members, how would you best like to answer that question?
I can start because I'm on the board development committee. So
yes, great, Vanna, go ahead.
There's 4 of us that will be terming out this year, and that's Felix and myself and Hang and Sean. And we are perennially interested in people with finance background, because as Sophia said at the beginning of the hour about the board's duties, it's to be fiscal oversight for an organization. So we're always interested in that. And with me leaving, we'll be also interested in somebody from the design professions as well. And I think that's traditionally been held by an architect. And I'll let other people chime in.
Anyone else have something to offer on that item in particular?
I can answer a question that just popped up in the chat about the people on the board are leaders of their respective organizations. We also have, you're just seeing a small spectrum of our board here today, but we also always have resident leaders, and our new board vice president is William Goodwin, a wonderful man. And speaking of people I learned a lot from, somebody I learned a lot from in these past years, and he is a resident leader. And
I'd love to just give a little comment quickly.
Go
But
ahead, Donna.
yes,
Yeah.
resident leaders are so important to be part of the board. They're the people that live in the buildings that we are trying to protect and build more of. So, and EBHO has an incredible resident program to teach leaders how to go out there and do advocacy and educate. And being on the board is just incredible.
And I think Kathy Ebhart is another new member from our resident leadership. And it's been wonderful to have her on board too.
Yes, thank you. All right, I know, looks like we have maybe another question
Yes.
in the chat.
Nur asked, I am on the Sacramento Housing Alliance board, and we are kicking off our latest strategic plan effort. Any lessons learned or insights you can share about the strategic planning process and how board members of a small nonprofit should approach it?
Any one of our
Damien.
maybe our longer term board members want to talk about this last strategic planning process?
Damien, did you have your hand up?
Nope, sorry about that.
Oh, okay. I was just typing an answer to this, but I think having a consultant is helpful, a consultant who has gone through the process before. Having as diverse of a committee as you can, people who are running the nonprofit, people who are being served by the nonprofit, having that different perspectives being pulled together. Yeah, and then just kind of going with your values, right? Just having everybody put all of that out and see what makes sense for the organization.
Thank you, Felix. Kinkini, is it Kinkini? I see your hand.
Yes, thank you so much. I was driving, so I had my camera off. I'm Kinkini Banerjee, and I used to be the president of the Board of Building Futures for many years with Women and Children. Now it's Building Futures, and also the president of the Board of Trustees of Alameda Health System, our county's healthcare system. I'm still work in the intersection of housing, health, economic and community development work right now. And my day job is in federal policy in public health. And I think that what, Felix, so many of, completely just amazed and very appreciative of the work of the staff that do that. So many of the board members really spoke about like cross-cutting, like really working across our silos. So a couple of things from my vantage of having been on the board and now as a volunteer with housing is that there are a lot of community-led efforts that are happening, for example, in my own city of San Leandro. And we like to, around, renters protection, housing, just today, Governor Newsom's executive order to remove all encampments that's happening. So as board members, as community members, as in the healthcare world, our hospital healthcare system has a community advisory board, which is of 51% with folks with lived expertise who come in and speak about how. But even when we have these models, we are not able to meaningfully embed the voices of folks with lived expertise and who are currently facing this in meaningful ways. So I would love to see if you have openings to recommend folks who are working in the intersection of health and housing and disability justice, or youth, like young people also on your board, or community activists who are doing this work other than institutional folks who are doing this work as well. So this is great to hear you all have openings. So if there is an open call, or some of the really folks who are on the ground doing a lot of more activist kind of work and pulling in and representing the multi-issue nature that issues that folks present would be good. For me now as an ex-board member, but as a community advocacy person, I would love to see more advocacy, coordinated advocacy efforts that's happening, both at the local level. So love your strategic plan, love the local regional policy work that you have, and how might we strengthen it to really be doing more work with the healthcare and public health, because so often by the time we see people in the hospital system getting their healthcare, they've been untreated diabetics for so long, they're almost like vision is gone, like advanced stage, 30-year-olds having advanced stage chronic conditions. So we have Cardia and other agencies, but just much more. So very long-winded way of saying much more collaboration, coordination between health, public health, housing, and some of these other sectors. I'll stop there.
Thank you so much. I see Baba has his hand raised, and I know that Jeff, you had a question as well. Maybe we can get both questions out and see if we can get them answered before the end of our time. Baba, please go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really appreciative of you guys. I'm thankful to be part of this. My question is, and something that I've been trying to find is, how do we link all of these housing hub to, businesses, the retail space? Because I know there's going to probably be a lot of affordable housing being built around all these dense area. Is there talks around commercial spaces? And if there is, how are you guys planning to fill all of that? That's what I would like to ask.
Okay, thank you. So a question about connecting new affordable housing or new residential affordable development with commercial development. And then Jeff, you had a question. Do you want to pose that?
Thanks. Yeah, I just was wondering from the board what they think the biggest organizational challenge EBHO is facing and where you would like to see the organization 5 years from now.
That's a great question. All right. So first, maybe the connection between residential and commercial development. Who might want to take that on? Felix, perhaps?
I was going to tap Abra for that, but I think a locally based organization like Unity Council or EBHO will look at commercial space differently because they would probably look at commercial space more like a community serving space than a revenue generating commercial space, right? So EBHO's office is inside a building that was built by EBHO as a nonprofit affordable housing developer. That building is an incubator for lots of new businesses, and it's also an office space for nonprofits. So I think that's an important component as we see places urbanize and small businesses and art nonprofits and things like that being priced out of the commercial space, just like people are being priced out of apartments. I think that commercial space has a role to play, with nonprofit ownership in order to house that function for that community. So Mid-Penn recently, we just opened up a affordable housing development in Santa Cruz, where the front of that development is a nonprofit clinic and a nonprofit dental clinic, a health clinic and a dental clinic. And they now own their own space, and they run their clinics right in front of our affordable housing development, and it's a great co-location of those two uses. So it has a place, and it's definitely part of the fabric of the neighborhood as well.
Thank you, Felix. Any responses to our biggest organizational challenge from the board perspective, and where you'd like to see us in 5 years?
I can toss out a couple of thoughts. Again, that's a big subject, Jeff, in 1 minute or less. But I think, all of us organizationally, I think we struggle to stay on top of the trends and things as they change. And I think that, again, expansion in terms of us being able to do more is probably what I think of as our greatest organizational challenge, because what we do well, or I see EBHO staff really working hard and being very good at the areas that they have captured. Again, there's so much more to deal with, and I'm not saying it's all incumbent upon us, but I think that expanding that breadth would be the biggest challenge. And I hope that we can put measures in place to address some of the things that we think we can handle or best equipped to handle. But that's easier said than done. That's just my thought off the cuff.
Thanks, Laleen. I know we're coming to the end of our hour, and I have just a couple quick announcements I want to share. First is that we want to invite everyone here and everyone who's part of the EBHO community to our Faith and Justice Day of Action on Wednesday, October 21st in the morning from 8:30 to 11. This is an event specifically targeted at lay leaders and clergy in the diverse faith communities of Alameda County to come together and to learn about the Regional Affordable Housing Bond. Now RM4, that's the way it's going to appear on your ballots as Regional Measure 4, the $20 billion Affordable Housing Bond, to learn about the bond and how you can speak about it effectively to your community members and friends as we work to make sure that that measure passes across the finish line successfully. We'd love to see you at that event. And thank you, Lindsay, for putting a link to that in the chat. And then our next Lunch and Learn for the month of August, if you're not able to join us at the Faith and Justice Day of Action on Wednesday morning, will be Thursday, August 22nd, once again from 1 to 2 in the afternoon. And it will be all about the Regional Affordable Housing Bond and be led by my colleague Angelina Cornejo, who is leading our bond work for EBHO. So please consider joining us for that event as well and letting others in your network know. And finally, we've talked about the work of the EBHO board and becoming a part of the board. And so I just want to encourage folks there, as we have said, there will be an open application process for EBHO's board, and those applications will should be available early to mid-September or so. And once folks fill them out, that application, they're usually open for a couple of weeks. Then the board development committee will consider the applications that come in, and a slate will be decided upon that EBHO members will get to vote on at our annual membership meeting and celebration, which, if I'm remembering correctly, is November the 8th. Is it November 8th? It's either November 8th or November 15th. The only thing I can remember in November right now is November 5th. So, but it's early in November, and we'll look forward to seeing many of you there. Thank you so much for joining us and your interest in EBHO and in our Lunch and Learn series. We hope to see you several more times this year. And if you're a member of EBHO, consider joining one of our member committees and getting engaged in some of our work and campaigns. Thanks again so much for being here today. Take care, everyone.